Carl and Brendan here from Games, Brains, and Head-Banging Life, gbhbl.com for short. And it is that time of the year. It is list time. We have albums, we have EPs, we have tracks, we have live performances. And on Brendan's suggestion, we've added a new one. Yes, we didn't think we'd done enough lists, so we threw a new one in. And it was Brendan's idea, but to be fair, it was a damn good idea. He suggested we come up with 10 bands that we've discovered this year, that we personally have discovered and either become massive fans of and just really enjoyed what they've done and so on. And immediately it was like, yeah, that is a great idea. And it was very, very easy to do. So easy to think. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't put anything in order. This isn't like a top 10. It's just 10 I've chosen.
Yeah, I haven't really done them in order either. No.
Okay, cool. So we'll just fire them out really, and explain, I guess, a little bit as to why, and maybe if you what it was that kind of drew you to them. So I'll get us started. And technically, this could be cheating. I know it's another list with a cheat, but it's only because I didn't know of this band beforehand. But this year is where I really came to prominence. I saw them live 3 times, interviewed them, loved the new album. It is Wallowing. I actually reviewed their previous album, but that was kind of it. And then I kind of forgot they existed up until Earth Reaper being released this year. And that really put them on the map for me. Seen them live 3 times this year. New Crossing, Arctangent, and supported Ithaca a few weeks ago. One of my favorite bands in the world, let alone this country. The sci-fi extreme metal does it for me on record, but live, put it with a live show. Absolutely love it. So that's why I included Wallowing.
And I don't think it's cheating. It wasn't meant to be like, it doesn't have to be a new band. It can be a band that you became a fan of, which I'm mostly saying because my first one I'm going to come out would then also fall into the category potentially of cheating.
Fair enough.
I knew who this band were before. I just never listened to them before. Then we did a track by track for an album called Veto, and I fucking loved it. You loved it. And I would now say that they're actually a bucket list band for me, and this is Heaven Shall Burn. Weird, because they became a bucket list band for me about a month after they played at Bloodstock, where I didn't really care about them, didn't go and see them. We did a track by track, and I was just like, no!
Such a great album.
It's fucking phenomenal. And like, it changed my mind on what I thought the band were, to the point where I really want to see them play live, like in somewhere like the Forum or something like that.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's my first Heaven Shall Burn.
Good shout. Yeah, that was a track by track suggested by you. Obviously, I remember looking at it going, well, it's just going to be a kind of similar Brendan thing, and we both were just blown away by what we'd heard, and because we were both in the same boat. We knew the band existed. We both had different impressions of them, and it turned out we were both fucking wrong.
Yeah.
A band that's been mentioned in other lists, particularly the live performance one, 68. That is apostrophe 68. They're an American noise rock duo from Atlanta, Georgia. Went to see them Arctangent on a recommendation by a band to my wife and stood there mesmerized. Enough so, bought tickets to then see them at the New Cross Inn, where I got my ears blasted. Did get offended by their idiotic pricing for their t-shirts. Haven't quite gotten over that. That was the £35 t-shirt, which was like, you clearly not selling anything for that. But beyond that, they're just immense. It's a 2-piece. They play rock and roll, noise, punk, and they are just beyond watchable. Didn't know, and hadn't even heard of them before I saw them at Arctangent. So that's a big one for me this year. Now, big fan. Yeah.
My number 9 is a band called Ice Storm. Band I didn't know anything about, although they have been around quite a while. I think they're Catalan based. They released an album in February called The Northern Crusades, which was their 4th album. But I didn't know who they were when I listened to it. Musically, melodic death metal, but with a power vibe. So probably along the lines of an Amon Amarth, maybe that sort of thing. Really, really strong band. Very, very good. I'd say along the lines of Amon Amarth. I do think they have enough unique about them that stands out. They have more folk elements at time, more thrash elements at time. They list other influences as bands like Tourist Ass and Bolt Thrower, for example. So, there's a good mix in there, but it's just really, really strong melodic death metal with this kind of epic historical theme about battles and scavenging and pillaging and whatnot.
I actually like them as well. Yeah.
Cool.
Underdark. A band I banged on about for the last couple of months for good reason. Post-black metal band. Been around since around 2015, but only came to my attention this year with the album Managed Decline. I may never have come across this album if it wasn't for the website. put it, obviously this came as a promotional opportunity, but it's because it's basically, there are some, is this giving it? Yeah, I guess, suppose I can say this. There are some labels, PRs and so on that I have such trust in, such faith in, that they will almost always get a review from me. They will, if we get it from it, I'm like, yep, that goes straight in. That's 100% going to be done. And Church Road Records are one of those labels that I look at and go, well, yes, of course, absolutely. Not only because they're a small label, but because what they have released and what they release and who they support and all that has been phenomenal at this point. And that's how I came across Underdark, and the rest is history. I think Managed Decline is one of the finest albums of the year. It's got one of my favorite songs on it. I've seen them live now as well at the can't call it the Boston Music Room anymore, at downstairs at the Dome. God, I hate that name change. So yeah, Underdark, just so pleased I know them now.
My eighth one is a band called Dimwind. So
another name.
This is a Gothenburg-based post-metal band, a two-piece, fully instrumental. It's probably right up your street, to be totally honest with you. It's got a guy called Andreas Hansen who's on strings and keys, and another guy called Jonas who's on drums.
Oh, that's an interesting mix.
Yeah, the album title is called The Futility of Breathing, and this is the most sorrowful and beautiful and emotionally challenging album I've listened to this year, to be honest with you. And a lot of that's to do with the reason for its creation, which is to do with I'm going to write what they basically wrote down on the press kit, essentially. They were already writing the album. This is their second album. They're not renowned in their first album, even for being uplifting necessarily and positive. But during the recording of it, Andreas's wife passed away suddenly and unexpectedly. That crisis pretty much turned his life upside down. The painful emotions that washed over him in such a case fit eerily with the theme they were already weaving into the music, but it just made the whole situation that much harder. Andreas's struggle is still daily, but making music in general, and this album proved to be vital to helping him to continue. So with this release, it is Dimwind's sincere intention that the songs serve as a conversation partner for those who have ever experienced, and then it's the name of the album, The Futility of Breathing. It's, it's an instrumental, right? You listen to a lot of instrumental stuff as well, and obviously the post side of music, it works very, very well anyway. And, when songs don't need words to deliver the message,
the emotion, yeah.
And that's what this does. It's you're not going to come out of this feeling positive. It's not meant to be that, but you're not going to feel lost either. It's difficult to put into words to understand how hard it must have been for them to complete the album and kind of put it all out there. And I think that kind of gives you strength, sort of listening to it from that side. It will do things like help you understand you're not alone, that you get through this. And I think any album that can convey such feelings, such breadth of emotion, is worthy of being spoken about. I didn't know Dimwind. I don't think I did. The name felt familiar to me when I listened to it, but I didn't, not massively, like not to enough where I was like, oh, I know who these are. But it certainly left like a mark on me, and I'll be interested to see what they do next.
Wow. My next one then kind of sticks to the sad kind of theme, but certainly not on that level. I mean, that stands on its own. You take that and you put that up there, and then we look at others, because this is an atmospheric black metal band that basically came to our attention in the build up the Bloodstock as they released that album Time Held Me Grey and Dying. This is, of course, Offness. I guess kind of say came out of nowhere, at least for us, because this is, of course, their debut album as well. But one of the things that was kind of like, oh my God, this is not a really strong album, but it sounds like a band that's a couple of albums deep into their career here. There's a level here. And then that was backed up by a performance at Bloodstock as well that showed this band is a cut above a lot of the people around them already. So Offness, what a phenomenal couple of months getting to know them it's been.
Yeah, second everything you said there. They're great. My seventh is a band called Hellthrow. These are an Icelandic blackened death metal band. Label wise, I always found it weird. I had to do like a lot of research on like what it actually meant, but it seems of Mist underground activists.
Oh
division.
yeah, I've seen that
Yeah,
before.
I hadn't seen that, and I was like, huh, what is that? But anyway,
Like a sub label, isn't it?
yeah, it's like I was reading up on it, and they say it's like for the bands that don't necessarily fit directly under the Season of Mist label. So this is the way for us
Mm.
to be able to bring others in. The bit that confused me on that is like, I'm pretty sure I've heard bands like this on their main label, but anyway. What Hellthrow are like the Icelandic bit is a large part of it. So you are talking at times quite traditional in the black side of things, vocally and everything like that. But then it does have the death metal element to it. The Icelandic bit is quite important, I think, in it because I don't know, it's unfair probably on Iceland. Maybe it's not, but you say Iceland to me, and I just think cold, fucking cold.
Yeah.
Everything's cold. But also it's sung in Icelandic, which I really, really love. I think that the whole atmosphere of it gives you that feeling of coldness. It gives you that feeling of like harsh, wintry landscapes, and then being sung in that native language as well, or sort of sung like shouted, screamed, and roared at you in that
Yeah.
native language as well. Like just adds like a little bit of additional authenticity to it. So yeah, for me, like a super talented band. Again, second full-length album, the album Talgroth, which came out as of now 7 days ago, 1st of December. But again, obviously we have it a period of time before that, so I've been listening to them probably since the beginning of November.
Nice. Burner. The hardcore death metal, black metal combination that create a horrible noise. Caught them earlier in the year when they supported Creature at the New Cross Inn. Didn't even know of them at the time. And I watched this extremely noisy, horrible band deliver some stunning music on that stage. Was blown away. And then we got the debut album, It All Returns to Nothing. Guess which label released that, everybody? Oh, was it Church Road again? And then I went to see them play their album release show at the Black Heart with Mastiff and Acid Throne, and it was deafening. Yeah, Burner's been a real joy to get to know this year, so that's my next one, Burner.
My next one is Carthus, the Aussie Melbourne-based band who released their debut album on the 21st of July this year called Images of Tyranny. 5-piece. For me, not classic heavy metal, but just like a more simplified genre-wise, uncomplicated heavy metal. Not in terms of, sounds like I'm saying the songs are basic. I don't mean that. I just mean in terms of categorizing them.
Yep.
You're talking loads of groove, heavy as hell, big solos, lots of riffs and beats. For me, I think I've spoken about them before, and it's if I was putting them up against something, I'd be like, oh, it's Pantera / Trendkill / that style of, metal that's just like quite in your face, quite aggressive, but predominantly driven by riffs and beats. So I think they're really, really talented. It is just their debut, which is great and exciting. So, yeah, Carthus for me.
And up next for me, it is the band Square Brackets B. I'm not going to do the whole thing again. It's Bolt, the two basses and drums instrumental black drone metal band from Germany. They released their 5th full-length album this year, 05, with brackets either side of that. And it was my discovery of them and just being absolutely blown away by one of the most creative releases of the year. A track from it features in my top 10 tracks of the year. Absolutely adore this band and what they've done. Yeah, Bolt.
And my next one up is Drama Noir, another band that I found for the first time this year, although this was their 3rd album when they released Nightfall Upon the Asylum on May the 3rd. Greek, symphonic, atmospheric, black. Yeah, I don't think I'd heard of them beforehand. I certainly don't recognize, I didn't recognize anything about them when I was writing it. But it's a beast of an album. It blew me away. I loved it. It got 10 out of 10 from me on the website. Didn't feel like there was any filler or any weakness. Just intensely creative and exciting throughout, with drums and vocals, bass, guitars, lots of little elements of orchestration and symphonic touches to just elevate songs at the right point, whether it's an intro or to add a little bit to a chorus to lift it up a bit higher, stuff like that. So yeah, I think a I mean, because it's their third album, like it's weird sometimes, isn't it? Because I'm listening to them like, oh my god, this is the first time I've ever heard these.
Yeah,
I hope they do, I hope they come back and do another one. But it's like,
they're
well,
doing well. Yeah.
that'll be their fourth if they do. Jesus, they're doing all right. But yeah, I think they're an immensely talented band. Huh? Very excited.
We've said this in the past. Sometimes it's fun to come along and be like, "Oh, cool! There's 2 albums pre what I've just fallen in love with."
Yeah.
Yeah. Not the case with this next band because it was their debut release this year. It's OWDWYR, an extreme metal combination of tech death, prog, and grind, but framed around a classical core. The debut album Receptor, is the most creative thing overall released this year. If I was judging albums on creativity of just the most unique ideas that shouldn't fucking work, that is too diverse, there's too many different genre ideas, it should never work, it would be this. Yet it fucking does. It is a sign of a band. It's their debut album. It is absurd the confidence this band has, the abilities they have to converge all these absurdly different tech death, prog, grind, classical, all thrown into a pot, and Receptor came out. Amazing, just an amazing release. Generally, is taken back by it. Yep, OWDWYR.
Yep, I'm just spelling it out in my head.
I mean, I presume that's how, because I can't see you saying it. Awadwa,
No.
Awadwa. You see what I mean? Like it, and it's all capital letters as well. So like, but it's not like, I don't think it stands for anything. Or at least I'm not aware it stands for anything.
So my third is probably the most sidestep in terms of musical style for me, and it's a band called Tribunal. Vancouver-based gothic doom band, very heavy on the gothic side of things. They released their debut album. It was called The Weight of Remembrance, all the way back in January. 2 band members directly, and one of them's guitarist and vocalist, and the other one's a trained cellist and vocalist.
It's unique.
Lots of additional musicians and guest musicians that sort of make up the places on the album, but they're the 2 kind of core members. It is very goth, like really sort of like videos are all in like dark churches. Everyone's wearing like black and looking extremely sad. And that's not necessarily something that I really go to, but it is just such a beautiful album. In terms, like the songs are great, and there are plenty of where the black metal vocalist comes in, and like it never speeds up as such, but it gets heavier. The cello being a very prominent instrument throughout it. It's just really well put together. It's really well composed. It's very atmospheric, very dark, very beautiful. It almost feels like a little bit too perfect at times, like like a piece of art, right? Like it's not loose in any way whatsoever. It's like meticulously crafted to like generate this atmosphere. I honestly, like, it's not my go-to style, so for it to stand out like this much to me, at least to me, means it's special. And yeah, I don't know, even like this came out all the way back in January, like I said, it still gets plenty of listens from me now, and I just, if I listen to it, I do, even these days I'll still say to somebody like, oh, listen to that, how beautiful is that, isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
So yeah, Tribunal.
Cool. All right, my second last one is just music you can headbang to. It's Locust this year, the tech death and groove metal band that had kind of like started for a little while, but really came together this year with a debut album, Infidel. Came out, I don't know, a month or 2 before Bloodstock. Very strong stuff. Really heavy music that you can really get into, just lose yourself to that, and just kind of go a bit nuts for it. And then they also played Bloodstock and were very good live as well. So I thought, yeah, let's give them a shout out. Locust.
Cool. Yeah, good band. No, my next one on the list, second last one, is Dragon Corpse, unsurprisingly. First time hearing this band this year, mainly because it's their debut that came out, the Drakkar Saga, on the 10th of February. They've spoken about before, genre mix that on paper sounds like it could be messy, yet they've executed it to perfection, with plenty of symphonic stuff, operatic singing that then suddenly turns into guttural screaming and deathcore and heavy breakdowns, and then the two combined. So it's not even doing one after the other after the other. You'll have a heavy breakdown going off while there's clean singing, and you'll have a big symphonic orchestral piece going off while there's a Lorna Shore style deathcore vocal passage happening.
Still makes me laugh.
Yeah, mental, mind challenging at time in a way, which I loved about it. The fact that I went into it presuming certain things, and it challenged me and made me think about things differently. And yeah, loved them for it.
Challenges. That's always a cool word to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it'll apply to my last one because when I did the reaction video leading up to Bloodstock, just random bands chosen from the New Blood stage, check a track out. This one was a challenge, a fascinating challenge, but it guaranteed all of us going to check them out at the New Blood stage at Bloodstock. It's Drowned. And of course, I'm talking about the Sinner video that was so unique, was so interesting, was gothic, was industrial, was dark, was sexy, it was sleazy, it was all these things. And I went to see what Bloodstock had a blast too. Not even necessarily music overall that I would always say I'd enjoy all the time, but just the environment and a couple of months of just getting to know them has been an absolute joy. A really, really cool band. Yeah, Drowned.
And my last one is The Circle. Band I've spent way too many words on this year, potentially.
And imagine you're not done. We've got other lists.
They may feature again.
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, this wasn't a debut for them. This was the second album, the album of Awakening, come out on the 18th of August via AOP Records. German symphonic black and doom metal band. Doesn't really do them justice that alone, because I think you'll hear, like, you know, there are parts that are black, there are parts that are doom, there are parts that I think most people will put down as post and ethereal and melodic, and you know, there's some parts that are just death metal. But they have a lot going on. They're very, very talented. Yeah, my favorite discovery of the year.
That's just 10 we found. Yeah, there's been some quality discoveries. Basically, it's always is a pleasure that we even have this, as you say, when you're talking about albums that are bands that are 3 or 4 albums deep, and that we're just finding them this year. It's fucking fascinating. I have a cheat, and I want to throw it in because it's not a band. It's just something I wanted to give an honorable mention to. It's actually a label, and I've kind of mentioned them already. I was aware of this label beforehand, but this year they have absolutely stunned me with the many releases and the underground bands from this country that they put out. Generally, absolutely one of the most impressive labels, doing so much good out there that I think Church Road Records needs a shout out. That it's run by 2 members of the band Employed to Serve as well. Should also, you know, I think it's really fucking cool as well. But Church Road Records, my God, when you watch or read top 25 albums, you're going to see a lot of Church Road Records releases in my top 25 albums. So I just wanted to give them a shout out, really, because what a label. Yeah.
I was just quickly flicking through mine. Every single band that I just listed out are from a different label or independent, one or the other.
There are other great ones, you know, Prosthetic Records, I love as well. They do great stuff. Trepanation Recordings, another great one, and all that. But I just wanted to give them a little shout out. But there we go. There's 10 bands that we personally have discovered this year. Of course, you know, you could be sitting there going, you fucking idiots. I know this band. I've been with them since the beginning. Fantastic. Glad you were there for the ride. But we've just found out about them, and now we're aboard that train too. But you got any thoughts? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news, and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at GBHBL. Just search for GBHBL and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.